In this lesson, I want to show you how to set up this kind of mock car with automatic wheel rotation based on one of the channels of our master object here. So here I just have a car body. It's a fake car body with two wheels parented to it. They're just straight parented. And I've already gone ahead and set up the driver that we're going to set up on our right wheel here, but our left wheel has no rotations because that's what we're about to do. So when I push this along its local y-axis, you can see that our wheel is rotating perfectly. But if we then jump to the top view and change this angle, so let's see here, you can see it's spinning the wrong direction, and then let's just move it along here. It's spinning the right direction, it's kind of working, but then if we go here, it's spinning in totally the wrong direction again, and then here it is going the right way, but it's not right. So this type of setup will only work if you're going to go in a straight line in one axis. If you need to change all three axes or whatever, it's not going to work. But for most of the shots that you're going to do, if your car's just moving in one axis, it's going to work perfectly. So let's just set this up. I'm just going to undo a few steps. We are back to the middle here. So let's set up some drivers. First of all, I'm going to show you what we're going to set up. If we click in here, you can see what our driver is. I have my right wheel selected there. It's just going to be two variables. It's going to be the location divided by the diameter over 2. Now the diameter over 2 is the radius. So let's just call this, it's going to be the location of our wheel, or the distance it's going to travel along that axis, divided by the radius. It's pretty easy, right? So how do we get the radius? Well, we know that from our dimensions here, our Z dimensions. This is our diameter, so half of that is going to be our radius. So we can copy and paste this and let the computer do the calculations. But if we hard code this into our driver, we won't be able to, let's just say that we scale this, right? Let's make this wheel bigger and then move this. If we hard code that with a value, it won't automatically detect the changing radius of our wheel here. So I want to show you a way how to get that to automatically detect, because it's going to use it as a variable. That probably doesn't make sense. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Reset my scale, Alt S, and let's bring up a drivers editor. I'm going to go right click, vertical split, and then change this one to be the drivers window. And you can see when I have my right wheel selected, this is our driver here. And if I hit the N key, I can bring up the side panel that gives me all the information about that driver. And particularly here is what we're doing. So we want a scripted expression driver. It's going to be the location divided by the radius. And here are those variables. So the lock is the same thing that's used up here, and the diameter is the same thing that's used up here. So when we do our scripted expression, we add these variables and then use them in these expression up here. Let's do that from scratch. So here I have my wheel that I want to add this driver to. Now I could copy and paste it, but that's not teaching you how to do it. So I'll show you how to do that at the end, right? First thing I want to do is figure out the channel that I want to add it to. So I'm just going to wiggle these and go, no, it's not the rotation Z, it's not the rotation Y, but it must be the rotation X. Awesome. So I'm going to right click that and then choose add driver. And this will add up a little pop-up window here, which is the same thing that's over here on our right. But if you accidentally just move your mouse off it and you're wondering, oh, where did that go? Don't worry, you can get to that same information in our drivers editor. I prefer that because I've got, I don't need to be so careful about where my mouse goes. So there we go, we've got the driver here. And when we set it up, it is a scripted expression, but our expression is not correct. So let's just do that. I know that we need two variables, so let's just add another variable. This first one, we're going to call lock, short for location. And this variable, we're going to call diameter. And now let's set these up. So the location was going to be the Y location, the local Y location of our object, which is the cube, right? So what did I call the cube? I called it the car body. So we'll choose that in our object. And then we don't want it to be the X location. We want it to be the Y location. And we want to change this space to be a local space, right? So that's working. And then here, we want this to be a single property. And we're actually going to copy and paste the data path to get to the diameter of our wheel. So first of all, we do need to put in our object. So this one is the wheel.l here. So that's the name of our object. and we need the path. So I want to grab the Z dimension here. So I'm going to go, whoops, not right click. I'm going to, yeah, why can't I do this? Right click. That's right. You can't actually right click and get the data path of this one, but I know a workaround for that. Blender doesn't want you editing this, but we're not going to edit it. We're just reading it. So it shouldn't complain about that. We're just reading. We're not writing. Okay. So I'm going to type in dimensions. I'm going to spell it correctly. And then because I want the Z axis, that is the second index, because we start at 0. 0 is X, 1 is Y, 2 is Z. Bang. And you can see we know it's working because we've got this little value here. And now we just need to write our expression up here so it works correctly. So remember what our expression was? It was the location, which is actually the distance that it travels, divided by our radius. So let's start with the location. So that is location. And then we want to go divided by our radius. Now, what is our radius? It is half the diameter. So I'm going to type in diameter divided by 2. Now, just put that in brackets so that it's clear and the calculation is going to work correctly. But I've left something out, and that is there's no negative value here. So when I move it forward, you can see that our wheel is going in the wrong direction. So let's just make sure that we add a negative value to our expression there. Let's just add it at the start. So we're going to take the negative location and then divide that by the radius. Let's check that. Boom, it is working. So if you need something to go in a straight line, it is basically the distance along that axis, which in our case is the location Y, divided by the radius. And that's it. Super, super simple. Now, what if you've already set it up on one side and you want to get the other side for free? Well, that's pretty easy to do. So let me just delete our driver from one side. I can make sure that we select this object here. I can right click on this driver and say copy driver, and then select the object I want to paste it to, hover over and say paste driver. Now we're not done because it will work actually, but it's copied that exact same driver, and it is getting the dimensions or the radius based on the information from this wheel. So see when I do this, it's actually changing the other side. So we just need to make sure that we edit the driver, which is really easy to do. So I'm going to select the object here, go over to that driver, and then here you can see that this object, let me just drag this bigger. You can see that this is getting the diameter from the wheel.r. We can actually just change that to be wheel.l. And now when we say scale this wheel bigger, it's not going to affect this one. And when we rotate this, these wheels are still going to rotate accordingly based on their own radius, radii. Yeah, that's how you say plural of radius, radii. So never forget the power of copy and paste, but you do need to make sure that you edit anything that needs editing. Often that could mean changing a .l to a .r, or even flipping this. So this one side might need to spin the opposite direction, so you would just delete the negative value there. Hopefully that has filled your head full of knowledge. Cool. I look forward to seeing you do this exercise.